You are in the Warriors Huddle with me, Bram, no Marcus or Maxime today, but I am fired up to announce that rejoining me, a basketball expert. You know what, Tony? So I got all the usual formalities here. I got all the bullet points. I've got where you played overseas. I got where you played in college. I've got the NBA guys you've worked with and mentored with. I've got all that shit. All these things, a blurb that would have been really impressive to anyone who listened. But instead, I'm going to give you a compliment that means more to me. Not something like if I Googled your name, this wouldn't come up. And it's a compliment I've paid before, but let me say it into this mic. I view you as a guy who knows basketball. There's not a
Thank
bigger
you.
compliment I can give you. If there's something that I'm not quite sure what I'm seeing or a take on a player that I'd like, a lot of the time, and I've been transparent about this, I'll text you, get the information, and then pass it along as my own. So there you go, dude. There's my fucking introduction. You're the guy who I use for my cliff notes when I'm trying to sound a little bit more intelligent on basketball.
Well, hey, I appreciate those text messages because it makes me feel good to give my opinion to someone other than my wife and kids. So thank you.
You mean somebody who gives one fuck? So yeah, no
Exactly.
problem. I give multiple fucks. I'll take it even a step further. Uh, One of the in vogue things to say about Jimmy Butler, and I've done it a bunch, is to point out, yeah, he's changing. What an incredible addition he is to Golden State, but he's also added to other people's games. Like suddenly he's changed what we're asking from these other players, and that's making us better. But if you press, really, 95% of the people after they've told you that can't tell you how or why or what's going on. So the meat of today really is I'm going to give you names. You're going to tell me how their game has changed now that Butler's on the team. But before we get there, to our glass half full. You'll remember
Let's
this, man.
do
We do
it.
it every time. Look back. Warriors hoop. Something you like, something you don't. I know you were there last night. Don't limit yourself to that. What stuck out?
Yeah, so I'll speak about last night. They played the Bucks without Steph, and two things really stood out to me. One was how ape shit crazy the crowd was going with their thunder sticks when Giannis was shooting a free throw, and how Giannis looked like he just wanted to piss his pants. He wanted nothing to do with being on that line. The energy in Chase was just awesome.
It's
So
back.
that was great. And then, I
Here, hold on. Don't move on. Give me your take on Thundersticks. Right. So I mean, like passion, dude. I'm on board.
yeah,
And there's a period of time I would have told you Chase Center. I'm not super fired up about their passion. So if we need props, give it to them. I don't care. Give them cowbell, like whatever. Let's get it louder. But we've kind of turned the page. I mean, like there's some real there's some vociferous action last night, right? I mean, you could tell people gave a shit.
it
So
was so loud with the thunder sticks. I couldn't talk to the people next to me. It was great. The
are you
whole place was
pro
yelling.
Thunderstick? That's my question. Like do you like should it be limited to what we can do with like our voices in our hands, or do you like performance enhancing devices in crowds?
Oh, performance enhancing devices. You know what? If everyone's using them, I think they're great. And last night, every single person that had them was on their feet going crazy. Sometimes, you get what a handful of people that'll do it and it's
Yeah,
it's kind of annoying, but last night it was great. So if it's like that, I'm all in.
I like it.
If
It's the
if you're sitting next to me though and I don't have them, I hate it.
100%. And the
I have to
arbitrary
have them.
cutoff, I've had that happen where I'm like one seat over and it's like, you bastards, why not? Also, I
Yeah.
like the Mark McGuire, like, well, if everybody's using them, we should too.
Right, right.
Analysis. All right, I slowed you down. What else pointed or did you notice from last night?
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting pretty close to the floor, which was nice, and just I give Draymond a lot of shit, but his defense last night was fuck, it was good. Um,
Why?
just from the get go, you could tell he wanted to stop Dame, stop Giannis, and kind of like Giannis at the free throw line, he wanted no part of driving against Draymond. Because it's interesting, have you ever seen Giannis play live?
I have.
I mean, when he gets two steps, he's you can't stop him.
Yep.
You have to foul him, get out of the way. And Draymond, even if he got a couple steps, stood there and took away everything he could because Giannis doesn't want to shoot the ball. He
Uh,
wants to get to the rim, and you could see the fear in his eyes. And when he did go to the hoop, I mean, a couple times Draymond just hacked the shit out of him and said, go to the free throw line. And he ended up making, I think, 10 out of 15. But those five that he missed, oh man, they were brutal.
I've heard a critique, and I'll repeat it because I agree with it. So, I mean, Antetokounmpo is unbelievable. I mean, his stats and the legacy he's already built speaks for itself. But you can definitely say he doesn't have a bag. That's not who he is. He's not beating you off the
No.
dribble. He doesn't have incredible footwork. What he has is otherworldly athleticism. He's like human evolution personified. And so it's just as you said, he gets a couple steps, and it's already he's to the rim. Watching Draymond take away that athleticism. Watching him be like, okay, you don't have a bag. I'm going to use that against you was
Yeah.
so satisfying, man. Like, because you don't see it. You do not see that go down at all, at all. What else stuck out to you?
Well, his bag consists of lowering his shoulder, and if you don't stop him going right, he spins back left, and it's pretty effective, probably against everyone but Draymond last night. So
Yeah.
that was great. Um, I definitely noticed that Jimmy took it upon himself to dictate the last. I mean, I guess the last half, the last quarter, the ball was in his hands almost every time,
Yep.
and that is something that they've been missing. And he's big. He's bigger than I thought. For some reason, I always thought Jimmy was like 6'4", 6'5", but he's a legit 6'6", 6'7". He was out on the floor, and that makes a huge difference. But just having the ball in his hands, and I think we'll get to it later with your other questions, it's almost like calming because he's guarded by a wing or a forward, not another guard, so he can just impose his strength and will, kind of like Giannis does, but obviously on a different level. But he's strong as shit too.
It's like a security blanket. It's like a weighted security blanket.
Yeah.
Last night, Fitz at some point. I mean, Jimmy ended up playing the whole fourth quarter, thank God. But there's a
Oh,
period
that's right. He
where
did, huh?
the broadcast crew was talking about, man, they're gonna have to give him a rest. I don't know how they know where they're gonna do it. I don't know where they're gonna find the moment, but they are. And every time he say that or said that, my anxiety level went way up. I mean, like way up. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't care if he dies on the court. You keep him out there for 12 minutes. And so that calm, collected feeling, I totally agree with him. Shit, I'll take it a step further. Here's something I liked. If you compare the terrible loss on Monday night to this incredible win on Tuesday, there's some real similarities, right? In both instances, a completely healthy team played a team without its stars. In the first night, the Warriors, totally healthy, play Denver without their stars. Second night, Warriors totally healthy. I'm sorry, Milwaukee's totally healthy. Steph is not playing for Golden State. But when you look at how the teams won, it's a glass half full for me. You look at what Denver did. Sure, they beat us, but it's not something that they can replicate. Aaron Gordon, local kid, great player. I understand his value, and he can score, but he can't fucking score 38, and he hit 6 3-pointers. That's not a thing that's replicable. If down the line they said, okay, no problem, we're definitely going to win the championship, Aaron, all I need from you is 38 a game, and I want you to go 6 for 6 from 3-point. That's not a thing that can be done again. Same thing with Russell Westbrook. Hell of a player, great distributor, averaged a triple double, but he had 16 assists. Tony, it's not a thing that they're going to be able to do over and over again. Now compare that to what the Warriors did against the Bucks. I don't want a universe where we're playing without Steph. We desperately need him. But if you look at how they won, it's things that they can replicate. It's Draymond playing unbelievable D, using his IQ and his body to stop somebody. It's Jimmy, exactly what you just said, being this source of calm, collected composure. That's something that they can replicate. Quentin Post hitting open threes that he is going to get, all of those things. And so there was some solace I took from that. Like we needed the win. Thank God it washed the taste out of a terrible loss. But it also is like, hey, like they can continue this. And so, yeah, it stuck out to me.
But I think what you saw, you said you were at the game on Monday, which was a total shit show, is when you take the best players off the court, other guys sometimes go back to their natural role. I mean,
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon in high school scored 30 a game,
Yeah.
in college. So it could be replicated if the Jokic and Murray aren't there and he says, "Hey, here's the ball, you go play a different style." And I think you're seeing that with Quentin Grimes.
Yeah.
He got traded from Dallas.
Philly.
He scored 30 against us, 45 the other night. These guys sitting on the bench, they're forced to play a different role depending on who's around them. And when those guys aren't there, it's like, shit, I can go for 30 or 40. The one thing I'd like to challenge you on, though, is
I mean, you already did. You already did, you
was
bastard. You already pushed me back
Draymond.
on the Aaron Gordon thing, apparently averaging 38 in high school. You can fuck yourself. Also, I was wrong. It was only 4 3-pointers, not six. So it is what it
Okay,
is.
it felt like six, but
He
I
averaged
don't
that in
know
high
if
school.
Draymond can replicate that every game. The energy, you could see it just every play, it was taking a little bit more out of him. But if we get 80% of that, 80% of the time, I think we're in business
I'll
because
be more specific because
yeah.
I can't push back on the Aaron Gordon thing because I don't know anything about his high school career. But I can tell you that when I say it's something that you can replicate, I want to use the phrase replicable, but I'm not sure that's a real word. So I keep like retreating
I'll go
back to
with it.
things. Yeah, I mean that's
I
fine.
understood what it meant.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate you, which is all I can ask for. The
I
the
got to
thing
see
that
in
I am
English, so
confident, 82 games. Can he do that? No. No. 65 games. Can he do that? I don't know. But the games where we need it, last night
yeah,
it was underlined. Like we need
right.
this one, man. We shit the bed yesterday. Steph's not here. We need it. Or put differently, every playoff game. Do I feel pretty good that he's going to bring that for this year and maybe another one? Yes. I
Yeah,
think it's replicable.
yeah, yeah. No, he was phenomenal last night.
Let me play you. So it's become a very in vogue thing to put Draymond into the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. But instead of hearing it from me, here's a take from the NBA on ESPN.
He is the DPOY this year.
He's definitely in the conversation.
Okay.
And I like it because he's old, like me. It's been 8 years since Draymond has had the Defensive Player of the Year. At 35 years old, it's remarkable that we even having this conversation. So shout out to Draymond. But there's very few guys in the league that can really guard 1 through 5 and be effective. And he's one of those guys that can guard 1 through 5.
All right, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it because when his career is over, we're going to say he probably deserved a couple more, right? That's the nature of the conversation. And this year, there's an opening now without Victor Wembanyama. But I'm curious what you guys think about Evan Mobley. A lot of people see him as a favorite. Their defense is number 8 in the NBA. The torture chamber, when you have a nickname like that because your team...
They're going to go off on OKC for a little while there before they ultimately go back to Kendrick Perkins, who says SGA should be considered for the Defensive Player of the Year before Udonis Haslem tells him he's fucking crazy, and that makes zero sense because SGA doesn't guard their best player. And it was such a long. I wanted to get there, but it's like an 8-minute clip, so we can't get all the way there. But bullet points. Not only is Draymond national conversation depoy, if you go to Vegas, he's the second highest odds, second highest by a long shot. Evan Mobley is not only a favorite, a heavy favorite. You've got to bet more than you're going to win. And then the next one is Draymond, and you get 5-1 odds. So conversation, but not favorite. Yeah. Is he a part of it? If it was up to you, if they came to you and said, all right, who should the nominees be? Would you include Draymond?
Yeah, well, we have the luxury. I watch every game, right? So I get to see the games where he stinks on defense, which happens once in a while, and then games like last night. And I think Draymond hit the nail on the head. Typically the Defensive Player of the Year is the big guy who blocks shots, who takes away your drives to the hoop, because you see that. A lot of the stuff Draymond does, you don't see.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's guys just getting rid of the ball because they want nothing to do with him. So I would say he's definitely got to be in the conversation. But at the end of the day, you really have to think, would Draymond rather have more Defensive Player of the Year awards or more championships? And I think at the end of the day, he's not going to get the recognition from that part of the hardware, but he will from the championships. And that's where people look back and go, shit, he was really good, especially in his prime. I mean, when he was, 2019, 18, 17, he was unbelievable. And last night was flashbacks. That was a masterclass. So, yeah, I think he's in the conversation. But again, I don't think people like him enough to give it to him. And Mobley's on the best team, record-wise, best team in the league. They're doing stuff. But a lot of people won't talk about, he's playing with another 7-footer too.
Yeah.
If Draymond had a legit shot blocking 7-footer behind him, what would that look like? I mean, that'd be unbelievable.
This is total conjecture, pure, unadulterated speculation, not a conversational topic we should have, which means I specialize in asking these questions. This is exactly what I'd like to know. So we don't know. We'll never know. But if somehow Draymond was presented with a magic button scenario, you press this button, press this button on the right, you get, let's say, 3 more depoys. He gets to add 3 more depoys to his resume. Button on the left, they add another championship. Now there we go. We've got 5. Steph has 5. What that means for his GOAT conversation. Which button do you think he presses?
Championship.
Really? Even over
Yeah.
3?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think, for whatever reason, 4 doesn't seem to be enough. Everyone says, oh, if Steph gets that 5th, and I don't know if it ties Kobe or Tim Duncan, I think maybe has 5. But I think that now puts him in the conversation with Tim Duncan and these other guys. Whereas look, someone might say to Draymond, oh, great, you got 3 more Defensive Player of the Year award. Rudy Gobert has 4. It doesn't mean anything, right? A championship means something.
Well, doesn't he has one already, right? It'd be 4.
1.
I mean, yeah. Plus 3, I'd give him 4. Tony, what I'm doing is projecting, and if it's a, like the decision, like when LeBron went like on TV and had to make the call, if it's a televised decision and you've given me those magic buttons, ceremoniously pressing the championship one as hard as I can, bow with a Steph fat head, I'm like, oh, of course.
You think the B-roll would have him slowly hitting the other button?
I think if it's an empty room, if nobody else is there, they don't get to see, it disappears into history. Nobody actually just now you look back on the Wikipedia page, just one less championship and 3 more D-boys for me. I'm not telling you I press it, but do I think about it for hell of long? Fuck yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm like caressing the button, it's not a hard smash, but I'm thinking it out.
But I think Draymond values the winning over the other stuff. That's why he's always been the 2nd, 3rd, 4th option, knowing that, hey, I'm just as vital to this as Steph is. I don't think that, but he thinks that, right?
Yep.
And I think if he won the Defensive Player of the Year and they didn't win the championship, it would be like him talking shit about Rudy. Yep. But it's interesting because I was talking to someone on Twitter today about this, and they said, oh, well, I said, hey, let's rest Draymond on Thursday, give Kuminga some more leeway and some confidence. And they said, oh, but he has to get to 65 games to qualify. And I guess he's got to play like 11 out of the next 13. And I said, okay, what it comes down to is Draymond more concerned about the individual award or the bigger one? So we'll see. We'll see.
What you nailed, and I think is the right read, is that I think Dre could press the championship magic button thing that we've been talking about, even if he was concerned about personal legacy, because I think he values and understands having a connection with a player who might be in the GOAT conversation, and so if you give Steph the 5th, and now now it's a real thing, now they're bringing up LeBron, Jordan, and Steph Curry, and everybody associates Draymond Green with Steph the way we associate Pippen with Jordan. That's a huge win for him. Maybe a bigger one than
he'll be the only one that got all 5, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Clay left, Iggy left, but then that also puts him 1 ahead of LeBron too, if it were to happen.
You're right. I wasn't going to ask you this, but you said the name. What's your relationship with Klay Thompson right now? I mean, how are you feeling? About his basketball success.
I feel sorry for Klay.
Yeah.
I know he had to make the decision. I think it was a good decision for both parties. And he picked the right place. I mean, to play with, in my opinion, Luka and Kyrie, he should have been feasting. And it's just been a total disaster over there. Not his fault, but just, man. And he's not, at this point in his career, he's not cut out to be the number 2 guy on a team. He's the number 4 guy who sits in the corner, shoots, creates a little bit, opens up some space. But I'd have to imagine he's, especially now watching the Warriors surging, he has to be feeling some kind of way, right?
Of course. So we're going to ask, and that's coming up here.
And he can't drive his boat to games. I mean,
he can't drive his boat to games.
Whammy. Yeah.
We're going to do this whole, I'll give you a name. You tell me how Jimmy's changed things. I'll give you a name and an answer for myself. Name is Bram. Here's how it's changed. We're playing so well, I feel bad for Klay Thompson. If we weren't, like before this, when he first left and we weren't sure how things are going to go, hard rooting against him. And he's brought so much joy to my life, Tony. Hard rooting against him. When they started creeping up and we started creeping down, even worse. I'm like all the way out. But now that it looks like things are going to work out for us, this is fine. We're in a better place.
Now you're showing a little empathy, huh?
Yeah, dude. Now the same way. If my wife and I ever get divorced, if at some point I get remarried, my life is great, I really hope she's doing well. Between the time of the divorce and when that happens, I'm not rooting for her. I don't need that shit. The last thing I want is things to be going super well. So that's how Butler has changed me, but much more importantly, to our golden questions, man. You'll
Oh,
recognize.
real quick, that's why you and I are so different is when guys leave the Warriors and it's not like I still watch their games. I root for them. I want them to do well. The second they leave, you hope that they fucking suck.
Get off your morality high horse. And it's the second thing we're different about. You also know far more about Aaron Gordon's high school career. To our golden questions. This, you'll remember, is our mailbag. People write in. I hijacked this one. I'm not taking anybody's questions. They are my own, and I've been waiting to throw them your way. So the idea is pretty simple, man. I'm going to give you a name. You tell me what you've noticed, how things have changed for that person since Jimmy Butler has joined the team. One we've already kind of referenced. Let's throw him out. Draymond Green.
Yeah, so I think for Draymond, and let me preface this saying, I think this core answer translates to every player, is they have another person that can take the ball from the perimeter, get 2 feet in the paint and make something happen. Now, he's not like Kyrie Irving, get in the paint. I'm going at my own pace. I'm getting in the paint. And now you got to pick your poison. Are you going to stay with me? Am I going to kick it out? So I think that helps everybody.
Yep.
But I think in one way it helps Draymond is in the split action that they run, right? The Fitz talks about all the time where they give the ball in kind of the short corner post and the guys is now, whether it's Draymond or Jimmy, there's a scoring threat there, right? So if it's Looney, if it's Draymond, typically not a scoring threat. So now when Jimmy catches that ball and Draymond, they're running all that stuff, they have multiple options, which they didn't have before. So I think that opens things up so Draymond can not feel like he always has to force a pass. I know he forces a lot of passes. So I think that's one thing. But really on the other end of the floor, I think I didn't watch a whole lot of Jimmy in the regular season. I guess I've only seen playoff Jimmy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a football player out there. He just gets in the passing lane so well. And I didn't know that with Draymond on the back and him in the passing lanes, it really helps Draymond to kind of stay home a little bit more. Whereas we lost some point of attack defense with Wiggins. Yep. I mean, Jimmy's just like a cornerback. Is that the position in football? I don't know. Just unbelievable. And his hands are big and he's strong. So I think he's helped Draymond on both ends.
I love that. 2 total non sequiturs that if I don't say, I'm going to be distracted. In fact, I was distracted through your answer. Here's the first thing. I tried to come up with a player I rooted for after they left. I don't have one. Anthony Randolph, I thought, but I couldn't tell you where he played afterwards.
Jordan Poole? Come on. You were having a pool party.
No, 100% not Jordan Poole. Not because I thought that it was justified what happened to him, because I didn't want to see like, oh my God, what did we cost ourselves? And off he went. So no, I didn't come up with any.
Yeah, okay.
But a quick observation on Jimmy Butler that I wanted to put into the glass half full and forgot. There's a moment last night. Actually, there's a couple of them. Jimmy hits an early 3-pointer and the cameras catch him. He gives Steph a look, almost like a bashful, can you believe I did that? And then down later on in the game, he's in the second or third quarter, it had what looked to be a 4-point play, and then they made it a 3-point play. His foot was on the line. And he gave a similar look to Steph. And what stuck out to me was the distinction between what Steph's relationship was with Kevin Durant when he came here and Jimmy Butler's relationship between the two. When KD came here, and incredibly successful, 2 championships, finals, I mean, it all worked out. It's great. But when he came here, the feel was that Durant wanted to lead a team to a championship. And so when they interacted, it was like you do it, I do it kind of thing.
Like a business relationship.
And they weren't competitive, but there wasn't a cohesion either. It was kind of like they were impressing each other without any definable power dynamic. Yeah. With Jimmy here, that doesn't feel that way. Jimmy feels like he's here to win a championship, not lead a team to a championship, and is 100% fine with taking a step back. And, getting back now to those shots, the looks he was giving to Steph weren't like, do you see what I just did? I'm amazing. They were like, do you see what I just did? You see what I'm doing for us? Yes, it's exactly right. Like, oh my God, we're doing this together. And it's such a cool difference, it's just, it's something that's enjoyable.
When I think there are different stages of their careers too, right? Like, Durant was in his prime. But it's interesting you say that. I was at the game. I had no idea that wasn't a 3-pointer. It was so loud in there when the guy got on the mic That was the one where they hit his elbow, right?
Exactly. Yep. Snake bite.
It was so loud. I didn't even know what the guy was saying. I figured it was 4-point play.
They show it. They show the replay, and it's called the 4-point play first. And then when they show the replay, not because the refs were reviewing it, but just it's an impressive thing, so they want to show it again. We could see as the TV audience, like, I could see his foot. I was just like, just let him shoot it, like go as fast as possible. And I mean, they caught it, and it didn't matter. I mean, they closed it out. All right, our next name, Pajemski. How has Pod's game changed? Because it's night and day. Feels like his level of confidence and his contributions since Butler's arrived.
Well, so last night in the game, I think it was fourth quarter, Podz got a couple wide open threes. And it was because, again, Jimmy got into the paint and they have to collapse on him because he's capable of scoring. But I think more so with Podz, what it gives is another playmaker. So Podz doesn't feel like he needs to hit a home run on every play, which I thought before, even when he came back, did he come back before Jimmy? I think he did for a little bit.
Yep.
He was trying. Now he seems to be more in the flow, knowing that, okay, if I don't get this, I can give it to Steph or Jimmy and get it back. Whereas before it was kind of like, well, if I give this up, someone else gonna have to create a shot. Yep. And Wiggs wasn't good at creating a shot. Moody is terrible at creating his own shot. JK is getting back. He's okay, but Jimmy can create his own shot. And the one thing that's been pissing me off about Jimmy is how many times he gets to the rim and doesn't score.
Oh, yeah.
He, like last night, he had a wide open dunk and he passed it out to Draymond for a three. And I get it. He's trying to make the right play, but I'm hoping when we get into more serious games, he just finishes and does the right thing because he's getting there.
I hope last night is kind of a subtle push towards that. Because kind of figuring that out while Steph's on the floor is one thing. And it's harder, but like figuring out where he fits into the offense in this system without Steph might push him more to that. Point number two, not number two, ongoing, probably multi-thousand-point list of why I'm an asshole. Another name for you, Andrew Wiggins. I'd like two-way Wiggs, brought in the championship. He resurrected his career. I've said nothing but positive things. He actually had a couple of really good games to start over in Miami, both of which I was like, fuck. I not upset, but I wasn't happy. And that doesn't, for no reason. They're not in the wet. Like, it doesn't impact us at all. So it turns out you're right, man. I am a bad person.
Yeah.
Moody. Tell me about Moody.
Yeah. So I think with Moody, the biggest thing that Jimmy has given him is confidence on defense. Earlier in the season, Moses really struggled with moving his feet laterally, trying to stay in front of people. They had him they moved him to the 4, right? That's how bad it was. It's like, hey, you can't guard a 2 or a 3, go play the 4, which he started to thrive in. And I don't know if this is why, but it seems like since Jimmy's got here, his on-ball pressure and him using his length. He's getting so many digs, deflections that he wasn't getting before. And I think he has the confidence that if he gambles, he's got more people behind him that can help. And like I said, Jimmy's he's kind of roving. His eyes are always looking. And he gets at least one steal a game where he's in the passing lane. But he's always there. So he's making these passes tough. So I think that's where it's helped Moses the most. And also, he hasn't been shooting the ball great the last 3 or 4 games, but he's getting wide open shots. Because prior to that, Moody was shooting the shit out of the ball for a while. Yeah.
The upside on him, and let me do a better job of asking that on Moody. Let's say best case scenario, they somehow go on a magical run. We win another championship. If Moody is a part of that, how big of a part? Are we talking about someone like Bielitsa? Like a guy, like a role player, but like not a big one. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and off he goes. Or somebody closer to like an Andre, who that's a component that we would like to continue and keep on the squad.
I think it'd be somewhere in between those two, because I think the other thing Jimmy has done, I never thought Moody was a 4. I always thought he was a 2 or a 3. He's pushed him back to probably his more natural position. The one thing Moody can't do, and I don't know if it drives you crazy, when he gets the ball and tries to drive, it's like a straight line drive to the block, and then it's kind of like roll the dice. Is he going to get fouled? Is he going to throw? He has no moves.
It's Giannis. It's Giannis without the other world,
there you
athleticism.
go.
It's just like
without
straight
the
lines.
strength in the shoulder. But I think because Moody, even when he's not shooting well, he's kind of like Podz. He does a lot of little things that go unnoticed, the hustle plays, he got a hand on the ball that tipped it to someone else. He goes and mucks it up and gets a rebound. So I think he's more valuable than Bielitsa, but he's not on the level of Andre because Andre's athleticism allowed him to not only guard someone on the ball, but also kind of like Moody, get so many digs and deflections. Right. So it's kind of like Moody on steroids,
I mean, talk about the high bar. I mean, they're playing underneath Andre's jersey now, and so like maybe it's a little bit. I was at that game, and at the end of it, and I've told this story, so I'll keep it brief, but I watched it with my sister afterwards, both the game and then like the presentation. And I was in a weird place. A family member who means the world to me was going through some medical stuff. So I was vulnerable, Okay. But when they showed both, Andre starts talking to Steph and he's thanking him about being a great person. Steph kind of tears up. And as they're doing that, they're showing, like everything that's happened, like this run since 2015.
Did you cry?
Sobbed.
No, they got
sobbed to the portion where my sister, who we were joking, dude. I was Rob Pelinka there, and I was making fun of his bullshit jacket, and Maurice Spates was sitting real close to Lakeup, and I was joking about that. So it was like this real easy back and forth between my sister and I, and it changes in the fucking drop of a hat. And while it changes, my sister's grabbing a soda, and she comes back up, and her older brother is now sobbing. And it's just there's no explanation. It just got super awkward. We sat there for however long it takes for one person to stop crying while the other person waits. That's how long went by. And we continued. Were you there?
But no, I didn't get to go to that one, but it shows you how much the Warriors or a team can mean to someone, right?
Yes.
People always say, oh, you're a fanatic, but it's a big part of our lives. I mean, at least 82 nights a year. And if they go to the playoffs, you're talking a third of your life, every night you're watching the Warriors play, you feel like you're connected to them, right? Like in that moment, you felt like, Andre, I know you, man. Thank you for everything you did for me, even though he has no idea who you are, right?
He doesn't know the evenings we spent together, and it's a lot of them. It is a lot of them. He's been at the center of birthday parties of mine. He's been invited over Friday nights, Tuesday nights, Saturday night.
I'm glad you were vulnerable.
Oh man, and that's the other thing. Both sides about this team, and then I'll get to our final question here. But I mean, I joke, not joke. I say this is a television show, and at its heart, it is. I mean, that this place, they exist to sell ad space, and that's what they want to keep us in on. But the difference between this and shows up and watching forever is the vulnerability. That's why I'm denting walls with phones when they lose, and why I'm sobbing when they're playing well. It can change how I feel, even though they don't even know I'm watching, which is both a great thing and it can be a pretty terrible thing too, depending on what happens.
Well, let me ask you, because Andre left and went to Memphis and then to Miami. So did you just completely disregard him until he came back?
100%. But it was a lot easier because of when it was in his career. It was pretty and we didn't see, remember the Miami thing? He was hurt through most of it and then kind of appeared a little bit with Jimmy Butler, if I'm remembering, during their playoffs.
Yeah, because they went to the finals, right?
Yeah. And I wasn't, what a great question. A good illustration of I didn't root against him. I wasn't like, I hope Andre doesn't do anything. But I also wasn't, when I saw Andre, I wasn't like, I hope he goes for 20 tonight. It was almost a disassociated, I can't do this. I'm watching from a different place.
So let me ask you this. When they retired Jordan Poole's jersey, are you going to cry?
Like a baby, but only if I become a Wizards fan between then and now.
Hey, he might end up back here. You never know.
If you're Jordan Poole and you have some incredible career that leads to that, would you invite Draymond Green to the retirement jersey ceremony?
I don't know. I don't know what their relationship is right now. I'll take the fifth, right? You're a lawyer. I'll take the fifth.
Wouldn't it kind of be didn't Jordan in his Hall of Fame induction ceremony bring the one coach who didn't put him on the team and sat him up front and was like, fuck you. You are the person.
Jordan was a whole different level of petty though.
Yeah. So I can see, but if I'm Jordan, again, I'm just projecting. If I'm Jordan Poole and I do have that success, I want Draymond front row. And I'm not even mentioning it. You punched me into the success. We'll see, we see where it ultimately goes. All right, I was going to ask you how he changes Steph's game, but what he does, he adds a second superstar. That's the one focus that we've heard a lot on. So instead of asking you that, I'm going to ask you this. How do you view this team, Tony? What's a success and what's a failure in your mind this year,
So I think a lot of people are really pushing the narrative a little too far. Oh, we're a championship team.
Hmm.
I'd be happy if we make the playoffs because the last 2 years we haven't, right?
Yep.
We lost in the play-in, and the year before that we didn't. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's the first step. And then, I think once you get there, it's really wide open because other than OKC, it's all going to be about matchups. Who
Right.
matches up with who? So if they get the right matchup, who knows? But they definitely, if they get there, I want to avoid the play-in tournament. I think that's scarier than anything.
Yep.
I mean, they're healthy, they have the pedigree, they have the experience. And I think if Kuminga gets up to speed, it takes this team to a level that could compete for a championship.
Second round, Western Conference Finals, final. Like where do they have to get to for you to feel like, okay, mission accomplished? This was a successful season.
I think winning one playoff
Playoff round.
round,
Yeah.
setting up a run for next year.
Yeah.
Now, anything beyond that, I mean, you have to be a little realistic too, right?
And it's free money.
You're a 500 team for the last 3 seasons.
Yes.
More or less. Jimmy comes in, we're riding the wave. But then again, who knows how Jimmy's going to play in the playoffs when he's not necessarily the top dog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he might take this team to a whole nother level because in the playoffs, he's unreal. So for me, if they make it to the second round and compete, that'd be a successful season based on how the season has gone.
Yesterday I was on a Denver Nuggets podcast, which went from something I was really looking forward to something I was really dreading because they dropped that goddamn game and now I gotta, vamp for a minute. But a couple of takeaways. Their takeaway, what they were telling me is secretly they're very afraid. They don't want a 3-6 matchup. They do not want to see Golden State. Not that they think they're definitely going to win, but like they just don't want that beef. Like they don't need our experience after getting the third seed, and this is who they have to play. That is the appropriate level of respect, but I agree with you. I think this is found money this year. Not only were they like 12th when he joined, they were lucky to be 12th when he joined because the only reason they were that high in the standings is they began the year on a 12-2 run.
Yeah.
And then they threw all of that away. But the main reason I think this is found money, we'll find out. I might be delusional. But I think the Warriors have now re-entered a very important conversation. There are every year, every offseason, there's a group of veterans who have decided, I still have something left. I've got enough in the checkbook. I need a team that's going to give me a shot at a championship. And the list of teams they consider are real small, because they're not playing around now. They need a real shot. The Warriors fell out of that, and rightfully so. I think they're back in it. And so I think this offseason, I think they're going to get a chance to really understand this is the roster. These are how they make sense. Mm-hmm. Now, let's see. Let's get some flexibility. Let's see who we can get in. So I think the real run might be next year, which makes all of this, like just found money. Now, all that said, they fuck around and end up in the play-in. Yeah, it's a failure. It's a straightforward failure. I'd like to see at least a 7-game series. And if they get to the 7th game, if we play Denver in the first round, and we lose to them in 7, okay. Okay.
We haven't beat him in like 2 years, right?
Right. That's exactly right.
It's been pretty bad.
Yeah. So,
but I think here's the other thing to think about when, with this mid-season acquisition is there's not a whole lot of time to practice, right? So a lot of this is kind of on the fly. If they can get the 6th seed, I think they get a whole week off while the play-in's happening.
Yeah.
And that's 3 or 4 practices, which in the NBA is exponential. That's like having 10. And then each game they have 1 or 2 days in between, especially the first round. I feel like the first round, there's a little more time in between. And that could take them to another level because I think one of the reasons Kuminga hasn't seamlessly came in as one, he's still getting his wind, all that stuff, but they haven't had a whole lot of practices. And a guy like Jimmy Butler probably doesn't need those practices, but a guy like Kuminga does.
Sure.
It definitely, the fact that you asked me to be on this pod all year, you were like, nah, we're no good. I'm going to go get some Yahoo Sports guys, some other guys. But now that they're, making a little run, I think everyone's excited again. And at least there's some hope right? That we can make something happen, which prior to this trade, it was looking pretty bleak.
They're appointment television, Tony. I mean, which is its own category. You know, I mean, it's every game is appointment television.
And the crazy thing is, we've gone on this crazy run, and we're still only the 6th seed, like clinging on for dear life. Usually, if you go whatever 14, 15-2, you're climbing up the standings. You're in the 4th or 5th seed. So the last 13 games is going to be very interesting.
I forgot to tell you, I actually have a Yahoo Sports guide that's going to take your place here. It's weird, awkward, but we got to make a quick.
Maybe I follow him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Tony, missed you. Appreciate you.
Good to talk to you, Graham. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it is my pleasure. I know that people need way more of their opinions in their life. Since I am right, tell them where.
Yeah, you can come argue with me on Twitter at I think my handle is TripleTonyF. And if your kids or anyone is looking for camps or basketball training classes, www.ttahoops.com, Triple Threat Academy, Oakland, San Ramon, Alameda. We are here.
I'm late, so I'm going to save this. We'll call it a tease until your next appearance.
Okay.
My daughter's playing. She's on a team.
You're coaching, right?
I'm not. I will.
Oh, I thought you were coaching.
I will help out. So there's been times I've led practices, but I'm not one of the principal coaches. And in this last practice, they had the parents' kid competition.
Did you pull a hammy?
I didn't pull a hammy, but I may have gotten too competitive. I'm going to save the story. It made me look pretty fucking bad, and I've already done that enough. So I probably will get your opinion, but not right now. We'll save it down the line.
Yeah.
For us,
I need to hear that.
Man. I won't toot our own horn here. You know where to go. The only thing I will remind you, hit YouTube, subscribe to us out there. We're really trying to push that page. So any support you give us would be very appreciated. With that in mind, go Warriors. Hopefully.
Go Dubs.